Hello everybody and welcome to the Sagebrush. I am your host, Headhunter, also known as the Sage from the Sagebrush, and I'd like to welcome you to my new channel. Let you know a little bit about what we're going to do here on my channel. We'll be doing unboxings, reviews, hopefully eventually battle reports of skirmish games, science fiction games, sometimes historical games. Right now what I'm currently playing is games like 5 Parsecs from Home and Stargrave. I like to be able to play solo when possible in case I can't get to the store to play with my friends. So what we've got for you today is Core Space from Battle Systems. It's a great sci-fi game that I've recently been turned on to. Haven't had a chance to play it yet. As you see, just got it in, and I'll be opening the box with you today. One of the reasons that I love Core Space is the terrain, and we'll be talking about that soon. Not just something that you can use in Core Space, but something you can use for any sci-fi game. And in fact, they've got some terrain systems for things like an urban landscape for 20th century games or cyberpunk, things like that. The cyberpunk terrain as such is in this box as well. So let's tear off the shrink wrap and have a look at what's inside. The first thing that you will notice is this is a hefty box. This thing is huge. It's massive, weighs several pounds. You get your money's worth in this. It's about $100 US. I got mine from Troll Horde Games on eBay. Their service is great, great communication, really good folks. Chris at Troll Horde was super with communicating with me. And let's have it. Get the top off here and see what we got. All right. Looky here, a pack of chiclets. There's your sign. Now, do not eat. Throw that stuff away. So the first thing that we have here, and I'll get the box out of the way for a moment so we can look at a game mat. The game mat that you see below you, of course, on my desk is from Dust 1947, and that's something that we'll be talking about a lot on the channel as well. Look at this thing. It's beautiful. Neoprene game mat. It's wonderful. Lays flat, folds up nice, easy to store. I love neoprene mats. Paper mats are okay if you can't find something else, but I really love having these. The nice thing is they don't slip around on the table. Terrain sticks really nicely to them. It doesn't slide. It's gridded. If you're the sort of person like me who maybe doesn't feel like measuring in solo games and just says, the guy moves 6, so we'll go 6 squares. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's fine. With a solo game, you can do it however you like. It's your game. Nobody's going to call you out on it. Have fun. Great terrain mat. I love these. And I've got a few, and you'll be seeing a couple of others when I do unboxings of some of the terrain sets in the future. So this is super. Let's set this aside. Bring the box back up here. You really get your money's worth out of a box like this. So what we've got here, these could be handy. I'm not sure what they're intended for. But they've got the slots, the sort of things that you'll see in the terrain systems terrain. I would recommend just hanging on to these for now. When we divine the purpose, if we divine the purpose, we'll come back to that. Okay, so what you have here in the plastic thing, you have your, they call them dashboards. And basically what they do is they help track all of the developments in the game. This big one that you see on top here is for the hostility meter. And what that does is it lets you track turn by turn what's going to happen. The dashboard insert is presumably further down in the box, but basically there's an inlay, and when you start out, it's like turn 0. No bad guys are going to be coming around. The whole idea of this game is you've got a crew of independent traders who are looking to gather things like salvage, rare items, weapons, armor, equipment, money. It's all about making a living in a very hostile universe. So you're going to be examining the map, exploring, looking in crates, things like that. And as you do that, of course, turns go on. You're more likely to attract attention. When you get in gunfights, every shot you fire kind of ramps this meter up a bit. And there are different things. Maybe at the beginning, one of these purge robots will come out. Not this one in particular. This one's apparently a higher level nasty. But your basic purge robots will come out. And maybe some gangers on the station or things like that. And as it ramps up, more and more dangerous bad guys will be showing up to take a look at what's going on, who's firing these shots, who's rummaging around on the station. These are your dashboards for members of the crew, civilians, things such as that. We'll take a closer look at those when we get to those cards as well. Let's get that out of the way. Take this tray out. Take this out. I'm going to set this aside for a moment. I don't want you to see what's in there. That's a surprise. The miniatures themselves. Production values are really nice on this. This is one of those games that really got started on a Kickstarter, and I have got to say they really delivered. This is slick. Really, really nice components. These miniatures are great. You could use these for other games as well. I intend to use them for 5 Parsecs from Home, which is my current favorite Sci-Fi skirmish rule set, because I can play at home by myself if I don't have a chance to maybe get down to the shop and play some Stargrave. Core Space is another game where you can play with other people, 2 to 4 people, but solo is built into the game as well. You'll find a lot of coverage of things like solo war games on this channel because I think it's an under exposed way of gaming, especially in the last year with all of the crazy stuff that's been going on. People want the opportunity to be able to do something at home. For months we weren't even able to get to a store to play a game, and I think that that's been a real boom in the gaming community, tabletop gaming. If people have something that they can play at home, great. If it's something that you can go and play with your friends after things get back to some new normal, even better. So what we have here is we have 2 crews. We've got this crew here. One of them is the Black Maria, and one of them is the Ion Hope. And let's have a look at some of these cards that are in the tray, because I'm pretty sure that there are separate cards for the crew. Now, we'll have a look at those in a moment, because I believe that they're on the pack with the other cardboard components. But anyways, we have this crew. Let's see if we can get a good look at this guy. He's a nasty looking hombre, some kind of alien dude. He has tentacles for arms. You'll have to forgive me. I'm just still getting used to where the positioning of the camera is. This, I think, is the captain of this particular crew. Got a fellow who's got some kind of briefcase or medical kit or something, and you could do whatever you want with these. If you're not playing Core Space, hey, it's your game, it's your little plastic dudes, paint them up how you like. I might paint that guy with a med kit. There's a fellow on one of the other crews that I have some other ideas with as well. So we got this crew. And then we've got a second crew. And oh, I'm sorry, that's not a case, that's a pistol. This is the guy that I was thinking of here. So we've got a second crew. This is the guy with the case. I'm sorry. Looks like he's in a hurry to get somewhere, so he's either taking off with some ill-gotten loot, or maybe he's rushing to the aid of one of his crewmates. And this fella here, 2 pistols. straight out of a Quentin Tarantino movie. This is, I don't know, space Harvey Keitel with 2 pistols. Everybody seems to be pretty lightly armed for the most part. You'll find as we look at some other crew packs that you'll see some really heavy gunnery, but I think for starting out, they kind of want you to just kind of get used to the way that game's played. Okay, and then what we have here in blue, these are kind of color-coded, so it's easy to tell them apart. Of course, once you paint them, that's different. We have this alien fella here, and he's one of the civilians. The guys in blue are the civilians. This dude with the far-out hair, I might paint him up like Doc Brown from Back to the Future. Skinny one. And then, let's set those aside. Then you have the fellas in brown, and these are the Purge. These look like your basic troopers. Purge are some kind of alien race, and they hate everyone. It's actually specifically mentioned in the rules when they're talking about things like gangs, civilian gangs that you'll see in other course-based supplements. Civilian gangs are apparently all part of one great big gang on the station or wherever you're playing, and it says right in the rules that gangers and enemies won't shoot at each other except the Purge. They hate everyone. So it's obvious that they're your typical science fiction, come to kill everybody kind of things. So we've got 5 of these line troopers. We got 2 of these guys, and I think they're wicked. When your arms end in big energy weapons, that's really cool. I'm gonna be using these guys in my 5 parsecs campaigns, because when you need a murder bot, there's your murder bot. This one is the one that we saw on the box with the crew earlier, the box that we just opened. I'm not sure exactly what his particular thing is, but obviously he's like a lieutenant or something. This is the nameless one. I think he's the leader. It seems like he's got some kind of mystic powers based on his pose. I might see if I can do a little bit of kind of OSL lighting on the hands or something like that, so that we can make them really look the part. And these all store back in here, if you remember where you got them out of. But I know Feldherr does a box for the box, where you can basically put a foam liner in the box, and there we go. Yeah, they've got a foam liner for the box. You can put that in there and store everything nicely protected if you're the sort who paints your models, and I do, and we'll be talking about that eventually on the channel as well, because painting is what I love. Don't really get as much time for it as I'd like, more so now than ever before, and that's where the term sagebrush came from. Okay, let's get that out of the way. Let's look at the rest. The rule book. This is nice. Nice full color rule book. It's paperback, but there is a deluxe version available, and that's apparently got some new optional rules, missions, things like that. This will get you through. This is really nice. Look at all the illustrations. Basically breaks down what the components are on the in the box. So it'll tell you all about this, and you see that we've got things that we've been looking at. Here's the range ruler, which is on the board as well. So here's your crew, right? The Black Marina. We've got Jace, who's the one that I said was kind of like Harvey Keitel, apparently. Lars, who's making off with the briefcase. Renton. I don't know if he's named after Ronnie Renton from Mantic, with the big gun and back. The other crew, we've got Ariana, the one, I believe she's the captain. Roy Kirk, who's the one who's got the pistol by his side. Gak is the big alien with tentacles for arms that's holding the gun, and Tiergard. Harvesters, they're your basic fighters for the purge. Devastators are the ones with the guns for hands. The assassin, that makes sense based on the pose and the weapon that he's got in his hands. And the live one, that's the boss. Here's your civilians. They have these clip bases, and that's a great thing because basically if you're not the sort who paints, or if you're playing with friends and you've got more than one crew, you just pop these little rubber bases onto the base of your crew, and that way you know that, say, the green guys are yours and the blue guys are your friends, and that way you're not accidentally moving someone else's models or whatever. They do use some special dice for combat, and I've always been kind of apprehensive about special dice, although Dust 1947 uses them. But you could probably do 6-sided dice if you really felt a need to. They're included in the kit. They're not hard to come by. They're available separately as well, so it's not a big deal. It's not something where you really have to learn how to read the dice. Very simple to do. Your trader boards, these are the boards that go in these, and they go up top, and then you have a separate track here, and that's where you'll keep things like your equipment. Guns would go in here, any special items, and some of them take up 1 tile and some of them take up 2, and the idea is your carrying capacity for your crew is what's right there. And when that's full, that's full, and these keep track of things like your hit points, your ammo, stuff like that. So there's a separate thing for your ship. Of course, every crew has a ship, needs a ship to get around, and that's where you'll write the name of the ship, things like that, with the dry erase marker. And all of these cards can be marked with dry erase, and that's something that I really like about components in tabletop games. Things like Dust 1947. The cards, you can basically record the damage right on the card, and then when you're done with the game, or in this case, if you're playing multiple missions for campaigns, you can go ahead and just erase that. You have, here's the hostility tracker that I was telling you about, and you'll see guarded, that's when it just starts out. As things ramp up, watch your back, cover me, charge, kill. And that's the purge board, and you'll see that as it goes on, more and more guys come out. Here's your ganger. Here's like your basic purge, and those are the devastators. You know, then you have the assassins and the live ones. So you want to kind of play it cool. You don't want to attract unwanted attention. You're not exactly engaged in the most legal of endeavors. Glossary that tells you about all of the terms in the game. Terrain. My God, this terrain is beautiful. This is what got me interested in core space in the first place. You can use this terrain for any kind of gaming, any tabletop gaming. It doesn't have to be core space. You can use it for Stargrave. You can use it for 5 parsecs. You can use it for 40K if you're the sort that still plays 40K. It's all right there. The nice thing is it connects with clips. You have these wall panels. Mantic does something similar, but they do it with hard plastic. I used to have a toolbox full of Mantic terrain. I didn't get a chance to play any of the games with anyone, so I passed it along to my local hobby store. I want to shout out to Rico at Drawbridge Games here in Pittsburgh. Great guy, great store. If you're in Pittsburgh or you're coming to Pittsburgh, stop in and check it out. But I digress. Anyways, both use the same sort of system. Panels that clip together with these clips. The big plus with Battle Systems Terrain for core space and in the other kits that I'll be opening, it's all pre-printed. It's easy to assemble. Everything slots and tabs together. Some of these you might be able to put a little bit of glue on if you want to keep them together and you don't want them sliding apart. That's fine. But everything's right there. Little cardboard crates, and the great thing is you see these tokens. And here's the different things like you find. I don't know what that is. It looks like a Pokeball, but I'm sure it's not. The longer guns take up 2. This one takes up 1. I think there's room for 4 or 5 things on this track. how the boards work. You see, here's the crew card. This spot right here, you can take that out. If you're wearing armor, you can put armor in and it might change your abilities. And that's where all of the stuff goes. Here's your class. Here's your particular ability. So it's not something where everything's kind of right out front. There is a bit of a learning curve. How the hostility tracker works. All the basics about combat. Here's where the little icons are explained. And those components, those guns and things like you find, have the little icons to let you know how to set up the game. You see examples here of the terrain in action, how the models compare. Here's the guy with the case making a getaway. Lars is stealing something out of one of those crates and getting back to the ship. There's a whole lot in here, and I want to kind of just flip through so you can see what we're looking at. Examples of play. That's super helpful when you're learning the game. I don't know how many times I've played a game and been like, wait, I've been doing it wrong all this time. And again, it's okay. We learn. You do things wrong. Again, in a solo game, if you're playing by yourself, who's going to have a problem with it? You're not cheating anybody. You're just learning to play. This shuttle. We will be covering this shuttle in a later video. It's a beautiful kit. It does require some glue. It's a little bit complicated to assemble compared to other things. It's not difficult if you've got any kind of modeling experience or any kind of experience with papercraft, things like that. It's super easy. And Battle Systems has a whole lot of videos on how to do these things. You will see them linked in the descriptions of the video. I'll try to include some of that in the description below. Salvage Run is the tutorial mission, for lack of a better term, and it shows you how to set everything up. Here's the walls, different walls, wall with a door. Here's the little bar table, benches or chests or scatter terrain tables, things like that. Here's your opposition. Set up some gangers in there. They're going to be starting some trouble for you. Start out with 3 crew. Here's where your hostility tracker starts. Here's the things, and with those chests, again, you can put these little loot tokens in there. You'll do that randomly for the most part, so even you don't really know what's in the chest. And then when you get there, you examine the chest, you open it up, and here's what we found. You can maybe hand that off to one of your crew or add it to your track. There will be explanations and rules for how to do that. Campaigns. Of course, it's great to play a game for a one-off, but if you're playing with friends or even if you're playing by yourself, one of the really great things about games is watching your characters develop, watching your crew develop, getting better gear, improving your ship, things like that. It's always so much more fun to have some accomplishments. Look at this. This is beautiful. Now I want to point out to you that this is all stuff that's included in the terrain. So you can just hang those right on those slots. Really makes your board come to life. And I've seen some fantastic game boards in my time. People put a lot of work, a lot of creativity into it. Some of us and some of you don't have maybe that much time, or maybe you don't have a lot of confidence in doing it, or you do it and you're too hard on yourself and you're like, oh, that doesn't look very good. I like pre-printed terrain. It's fantastic. I would rather spend my time gaming. As much as I love painting, I would rather spend my time gaming than painting. These are not pre-painted miniatures. I've seen some great ones that are. But the nice thing about painting is you can add your own touches. You can be creative. You can add your own touches to those things. Additional missions. There are a lot of extra missions also available on the Battle Systems homepage for download. And you will see that link in the description below as well, assuming that I have remembered to include it. And if I don't, feel free to add the comments, Headhunter, you fool, you have forgotten to include the links that you promised us, and I'll fix it. I'm here to help. Tables, you can maybe make your own little thing with a couple of the boards. So the terrain's not always necessarily something that you have to use in a particular way. That's the other great thing about modular terrain. When you have a piece that's glued together, you're kind of stuck with it as it is. With this, on the other hand, you have the ability to use it in other things. You have the ability to reconfigure it. You have the ability to move it on the fly. Things are great. Other crews. I have these crews. They've also come in. I've got the Galactic Core expansion. I do not have Shootout at Zeds or Purge Outbreak yet. I will be getting those. We will be covering those eventually on the channel. Here's information on your crew. Jace is the captain of the Black Maria. Here's his crew. Lars, Renton, the fellow with the big gun. Beck. Here's their boards showing their skills. You can also create a custom crew. There are rules for that on the battle system site as well. Ariana, crew of the Ion Hope. Gak, gunman, big gun, big gun. I like guys with big guns in games. Somebody that's tanky, somebody that's shooty. Always looking out for the rest of his crew. There's their ship. You won't really see ships per se in the game because, of course, they're huge. You'll see something like the shuttle on the terrain. Game might take place in a ship, and that's the board that you're using. Reference on the skills. Quick reference. 105 pages. Beautiful, beautiful full color rules. You gotta love that. So we've seen that. And I think we've seen most of the components. Here are these clips. They're used to hold the boards together. Your custom dice. This one's the purge die. It determines who is going to be coming out when you roll that die. Let's have a closer look at the dice. When you roll this purge die, you'll see here's the harvesters. Maybe you get 2 harvesters. Maybe nobody shows up. This is the chance die. I don't really have a lot of familiarity with how that works yet. One of the nice things is it also works as a scatter die. You roll the chance die if you need to determine how far something scatters. Scatters that way for 5 inches. Scatters this way for 1 inch. So it's a pretty handy little die to have. It serves multiple purposes. This is your basic combat die. It will determine how many hits you get. You missed, you get 1 hit, you get 2 hits, or you get a jam. So that's simple to read. These are the additional dice that you roll if you have extra attacks. And, you know, it's my usual die luck, half of them miss. Not a problem. We've got more crew boards. We've got the various pegs, and these are for different things. For your health, green for your skills, and yellow for your ammo. Health is pretty much self-explanatory. As you take damage, you'll have a certain amount of pegs in the board that you'll put in at the beginning. And as you lose health, you'll take those out. Maybe if you get healed, you put some back in. As your character levels up, for lack of a better word, between games, you'll add additional pegs. Skills. You have a certain number of skills. You have so many skills that you can use. And as you use each skill, you remove them. And barring some resting or whatever might replenish your skills, when you're out, you're out. Likewise with ammo. You start with a full magazine of ammo, and as you fire shots, you take those out. When it's done, you reload if you have the reloads available. And if you don't, then you've either got to get your gang to cover you or engage in hand-to-hand combat. The cards. We have a number of cards here. Let's just take a quick look at them. Purge activity, hive interference, and this basically says what happens in these event decks when you're in a particular state. If you're in relaxed guarded, and you draw this card, this is what happens. As it gets higher and higher, when it gets past the kill me stage into the purge, where you flip the hostility, all of a sudden these random events happen. In this one, purge of rank 1 to 3 are diverted to another conflict. They move towards the nearest board edge. That's great. So it's not all necessarily random events that are going to be bad for you. Supply cache. Here's an example. As I said, when you fire, you find your supply cache, you draw this card, you put 2 ammo pegs in there. Medical support, restore 2 ammo or 2 health. Search action with an eligible trader so you can look in a chest. Draw 2 items from the token pouch, and I'm not sure where that is because oh, here it is. All of your tokens, little cardboard tokens, will go in this pouch. A nice pouch, the Core Space logo on it. You'll keep yours in there. Helpful for 2 things. Between games, you want somewhere safe to keep them, and Ziploc baggies will work, but Ziploc baggies are not as beautiful as that nice little fabric bag. And sometimes you will, as I said, you'll draw 2 items from the token pouch and give either or both of them to that trader, and you can discard items that you might have on your track. Oh, I don't want this gun anymore. This gun that I just drew is better, so you throw that back in the box, what have you. So there are a number of those. We're not going to look at all of them. If you want to know what they all do, by all means, get this game. It's worth it. I haven't played Core Space yet, of course. You're seeing this as I am. I just opened the box for you, and the rules are available as a free PDF as far as learning how to play. You won't get everything that's in that 100+ page rule book, but you will get enough to learn how to get started. So let's put all this away, and then we will get to the real meat and potatoes of what comes in the game. Oh, this is something that I just want to mention real quickly. They include some extra Ziploc baggies. You've probably got a ton of them, but it's very nice of them to do that because you got a lot of components that you're going to be storing, and you don't really want to leave things just loose and flopping around. So we'll put all this back another time, Highlander. So I want to get on with this. Yeah, you heard that. Big thump. This is several sheets of cardboard. Let's get that open if I can. And this is the great thing. This is what really makes Core Space a fantastic game. Even if you're not going to be playing Core Space itself, and I recommend that you give it a try. When I first got these, I got these for terrain for 5 parsecs from home. And I was actually kind of on the fence at first about buying a game that I didn't think I was going to play. And when I saw that it came not only with 2 separate crews and models that you can use as bad guys in other games, but also with this wonderful cardboard terrain, I was sold. I pulled the trigger. Okay, here we go. So, here's your ship. It's got tokens for propulsion, life support, supplies, and hull integrity. So presumably you will have times when your ship might be involved. I know with 5 parsecs, which you'll hear me talk about a lot, there's between game interludes, and they're just as important. These are fantastic. These panels punch out. These windows come out. The doors come out. You'll see here where these hang over these little slots. These slots are where you'll put your plastic clips that we looked at. You have some struts to kind of add some 3-dimensionality. You get 3 sheets of cyberpunk walls. You get girders and walls. You have 2 sheets of those. Small hatchways. This conduit is a 3-dimensional item that you can use for cover, just basically to add flavor. You have the components to make a little chair. parts for a workstation, so you have three-dimensional desks, another sign, wiring on the walls and things like that. So really adds a lot of flavor, a lot of immersion, and a lot of character to your game. Room scatter. One of the things that they have, these are the little chests that you'll build to put in your different components. This is one of my favorite things. A wanted poster for Zed. Zed is, of course, the one that they mention in that expansion. We'll be picking that up eventually, I'm sure, and covering that. Nice character as far as the flavor that it lends to the game. You've got your junk food Asian shop. Chug. These flat signs don't exactly automatically adhere to a surface. You can glue it onto the wall if you want. You can use a little bit of blue tack, stick it on there, cute little mascot. Gun store, because what would a cyberpunk flavored game be without a gun store? Lots of guns, many guns. These sheets are also included separately in the standalone cyberpunk core set of terrain. If you buy the base game, you don't really need to buy a separate cyberpunk core set unless you want more panels. If you're doing a larger game or you want more options, there are other sets. There are the Frontier set and the core set, which I currently have, and we'll be covering in another video. You also have the Outland set, which has a different game mat, and they all come with these neoprene mats, kind of like the one that I showed you at the beginning, kind of like the dust mat. Each of them comes with a different one with some different art, different surface to kind of give you a flavor of the game. Here are your crew cards. And it shows you all of the different characters. These are the skill cards that go in the dashboard panel. Here's what they start out with. Lars starts out with his pistol, an extra clip, and a repair kit. So apparently that's a toolbox, but if you're not playing it as such, you can pretend it's whatever you like it to be. Gak has armor, and that goes in here if you want to use the armor instead of his ability. So presumably when you put on armor, it impairs your ability to do some of your things. Big gun. The Pokeball, we'll find out what that is some other time. And on the backside, if you're using them as civilians or if they're in disguise, incognito, your various guns, special equipment, armor. Here's the range ruler. The range is super simple, measured in inches. And one of the nice things is this kind of also shows you, this is your move ruler. On the back, here's the range ruler. There's no ambiguity. If you lay it from the shooter to the target and it's within this, it's in short range. If it's within this, it's in medium range. Anything further is long range. Different tokens. These are used when you're down and you need medical assistance. These are used to mark when a chest has been searched, which is super helpful because otherwise you'll be going back into a room. Did I search that chest? Did I not search that chest? You waste an action opening it up to find out that there's nothing in there. Oh yes, I searched that. Here's your hostility tracker. Here are the regular humans that we saw, the little blue guys. Here are the cards for the Purge characters. They have their own dashboard. Turn counter, which is great. You use that to hand to whoever has the active turn. And you can also use it for heads and tails if you're not the sort to flip a coin. There's all the cardboard. And that, my friends, is the Core Space core set by Battle Systems. As I said, it's available for around $100, $105 US. You can find them on eBay. You can find them on Amazon. You can support your local store because that's super important if they have it, if they can get it. Go ahead and do that. Or you can buy directly from Battle Systems as well. So I hope you've enjoyed this unboxing of the Core Space starter game, the core set for Core Space. And I really thank you for tuning into the Sagebrush. Please like this video. Feel free to comment. Constructive criticism is great. Let me know if I've done a great job. Let me know if you've enjoyed this. Let me know if you play Core Space, what you like the most about it. If you're looking into Core Space, if you have questions, feel free to ask. As I said, I'll include links in the description below for the Battle Systems website, where you have access to the additional missions, more information about the crew, things like that. Thanks again for tuning in, and we will see you next time.